Welcome to the Golden Com podcast. Special guest with me today, Dr. Robert Johnson. Dr. Bob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason, I'm really excited to be here with you.
Well, I want to talk today about leadership.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. That's what I want to talk about also.
Well, I want to talk to you about it because you make a career in this. Is that right?
Yeah, I try.
Okay, so we're going to get into that. That's the main dinner.
Yeah.
Is leadership. But working our way to that, what was the best part of where you grew up? Tell me.
Yeah.
We just got to get there first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I grew up in Pennsylvania, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, in the heart of Amish country.
I don't know where that is.
So it's eastern PA, about an hour west of Philly.
Hour west of Philly.
So we're in the orbit of Philly.
Okay.
Right.
To the east of Happy Valley. Hershey.
Yes, it is to the east of Hershey and Happy Valley.
Okay.
That's good PA knowledge.
Okay. Good. I got good PA.
Yeah. Yeah, a great place to grow up, rural. Maybe a quick story. So Amish people, that's a major population center for Amish people. And when I started driving at age 16, the first and only, knock on wood, the first and only accident I ever got into was I actually hit a horse and buggy on the side of the main road. Now, no one was hurt. Big beard. I'm driving along. It was we had a snowstorm, and there were piles of snow, and there's big shoulders in New Holland where I grew up. Big shoulders on the road, and there was a horse and buggy going down the side of the road. It's morning rush hour. I'm trying to get to school, and cars are passing. Then all of a sudden, it kind of veers out for a snowdrift, and I kind of clip the hubcap on the big wheels, and the heads of like 3 kids pop up in the window, and so I did that. Everyone was fine. A little damage on the car, but
thankfully,
yeah, an authentic Lancaster County, PA experience.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That tells me a little bit about you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you end up in the Army.
Yeah, so went to college, University of Pittsburgh, grad school, Colorado State, and I actually joined the Army after grad school. So I was a psychologist when I went on active duty, and did my first year at Fort Gordon down in Georgia, Augusta, Georgia. And then also, after that, I had an assignment to Germany. I was the division psychologist for the 1st Infantry Division, and I was over in Germany from 2001 through 2005.
So when you said you finished grad school, I know there's grad school where you get a master's, and there's grad school where you get a doctorate. Mm-hmm. So you had got your doctorate.
That's right. Yeah, I got my master's
so you
and PhD.
went into the Army as a doctor.
Yeah, I went in as a captain,
Okay.
which is, in my opinion, the best rank in the Army. You're still close enough to soldiers to have real contact, but there are some perks that come with the rank. So
sure,
yeah. Okay. But it was great living in Germany, working with soldiers. I basically ran a mental health clinic there on post, but being able to drive over to France or Czech Republic or Italy on the weekends was a real treat.
Now help me with years. Is there a war going on? Is it Desert Storm?
Yeah, so I came on active duty in 2000. I was at Officer Basic during 9/11. And as a matter of fact, the lieutenant colonel there at the time gathered us. This was all before cell phones, and he gathered us in the big amphitheater out at Camp Bullis. And he made an announcement that these planes had crashed into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon and so on. And having no way to kind of verify that, quite honestly, my first reaction was, well, they have to come up with more realistic scenarios here, because it seemed so outlandish, right? But as the news began to trickle in that day, it was obviously real. So it was about maybe 6-8 weeks after that I went over to Germany. And then right before I left there, that's when Afghanistan started, October 2001. I believe that was. And then we ended up deploying to Iraq. So the first ID, we were supposed to be part of that, the invading force in 2003, spring 2003, I think it was. That didn't happen for a variety of reasons. So we deployed in February 04 through February 05. So I spent that year in Balad, Iraq, basically, doing combat stress control for 2nd Brigade, 1st ID, but also a number of National Guard units and other support units.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you logged some hours and some serious high stress environments.
Yeah, yeah. And before that time, well, during my Army time, I was a clinical guy. You know, mental health was my thing. And I suppose you could say it still kind of is, but it was during that time where I really started to work with company commanders around resilience, leadership effectiveness, and so on. And that kind of really piqued my interest. So when I got out in '05, that's when I made the shift to more or less the work that I'm doing today.
Okay.
Trying to bring psychology and related principles to my work with helping leaders be more effective.
Right, and that's how we connected.
Yeah.
So you're helping leaders be more effective, I would imagine, in the boardroom, in the executive C-suite, hospitals or private enterprise or both.
Yeah, I've done some work in the healthcare space. I work primarily in with for-profit businesses.
With their top executives.
With top executives, yes, that's an important part of the work.
What about next layer down?
Next layer down. I mean, that's where I think it really starts to get interesting in a lot of ways.
Right.
I'm most interested, in those kind of fault lines that run through organizations, where you've got two teams on either side of that line that care passionately about what they do. They measure their performance differently, and they need one another in order to be successful. I think a lot of sparks can fly at those interfaces, and I really enjoy working with teams and helping them use those sparks as a way to improve performance rather than divide.
Yeah. So I know, like, sparks in my company might be, I'm in sales and I make promises, and then project managers are in schedule and budget and hopefully profitability.
Yeah.
And developers are in quality and code and perfection.
That's right.
And sometimes those things, they can. Are these sparks that you're talking about?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's funny you talk about sales because I do the selling and the delivering of my work, and sometimes I realize and sometimes say that sales Bob doesn't treat delivery Bob too well.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
But those are great examples, right?
Yeah,
because
those are sparks. Yeah.
What it takes to be right in sales maybe is very different than what it takes to be right in profit or delivery, etc.
And it takes years,
Right.
right? And we're in the service business,
Yeah.
so professional service business takes years. But I imagine the product business is no different.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
just no
Yeah.
different. So you've identified a problem,
Mhm.
which is in a lot of organizations there are a lot of, I guess, conflicting, almost ethics. Like everyone's right. Like the sales guy is trying to make money, the project person is trying to keep the schedule, and the quality people are trying to deliver the best product.
Right.
So it's not like anyone's got a bad intention, but those good intentions can conflict.
100%. I love it that you use the word right. The way I talk about this is oftentimes these are right-on-right fights.
That's right.
And no one,
Sorry, that was a mistake. But that was funny.
no one walks away from a right-on-right fight, because to walk away from it means that somehow to admit what I know is right is wrong, right? So I think about these right-on-right fights as one of the few sources of inexhaustible renewable energy in organizations, because no one's walking away.
Okay, so therein lies maybe not the problem, but therein lies a problem.
Yeah.
I'm sure you help more than just this scenario,
Mhm.
but this is
Yeah.
this is an apparent one. I have to imagine.
Yeah, this is a slow pitch right down the middle.
Right down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That work, believe it or not, that work can be a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, since we are our time here, I need to pick my battles.
Yeah.
Can we just dissect how you might approach this?
Yeah.
I mean, how does Dr. Bob gets a phone call from a company that's got right issues,
Right.
which is teamwork issues,
Mhm.
communication issues,
Mhm.
personality issues, and does it sound like this? Can you fix us? I mean, what does the call sound like?
Yeah, sure. I have the good fortune of working with people over years, right? Organizations. So those calls they know exactly what they're calling for. But if it's a new relationship, generally speaking, I can be helpful. And I like to begin every engagement in the same way. Well, let me ask you this, Jason. I see your shirt. I think you're a golfer. Yeah.
So just so you know,
Yeah.
this is the first time I've ever worn this shirt.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
I come down today, and Brenda, my wife, says to me, I always wear a black shirt
Yeah.
for this. She says, why are you wearing that shirt? Where did that shirt come from? And I said, I don't know why I'm wearing it.
Right.
And then you just say to me, I can see you're a golfer.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
I just want to tell you that really happened.
Yeah.
Scout's honor. I've never worn this shirt.
Yeah.
And of course I didn't know you were going to ask me that question. So that is a true story. That's amazing. That's a God story right there.
Yeah.
I hope everyone's paying attention to that. That was cool.
Yeah.
So you asked me, well, I am a horrible golfer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I started during the pandemic.
Right.
But I have played enough where I should be on tour.
Okay.
But I'm still terrible.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're a hopeful golfer.
I am a work in progress golfer, and I do love it. Yes.
Have you ever put your golf swing on video?
Yes, I went to a place called Golf Tech.
Okay.
Okay, and I specifically call me nuts. I watch women golf swings because their swings. I say I'm stronger than her, so I can certainly. I just think I'm stronger than her. I probably am. I know I am, and I'm like, well, look how far she hits it. So I just got to get that. I don't watch guys' swings because the pros do unnatural things. I'm never going to get there. But I feel like the women, if I could watch their swings, I could get my swing. So I took golf lessons from a female golfer, and she was awesome. And yes, she put me on video.
Okay. And what was it like for you? I mean, what was that helpful?
A huge gain right away, and then. After that, not as big as gains, but right away, huge gains. She showed my swing. She did something neat. She showed me my swing. Then she went through an inventory of, is this okay that I'm telling you all this?
Yeah.
Okay, it's your podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
An inventory of all of these golfers that she knew of. And then she found the golfer, it was a man golfer, but she found a golfer whose swing was closest to my swing is that she thought, because at my age and my habits, I don't think she wanted to rewire my whole body. She wanted to use maybe, and then she put me on top of his swing, and she showed the deltas and where I should start making improvements, and I thought it was impressive.
Right, because it begins with a fundamental self-awareness that you couldn't have had without that video.
100%.
Right?
I was like, that's what people are talking about
That's
when they say this. That's what the people are talking about.
Exactly.
Say that, and I'm doing it.
Exactly. You could see yourself for the first time.
And there's no question. No
so
question.
I rely on the same principle in my work. In these here we go again loops. I think the trap, I do this myself. I teach this stuff, but I fall into this trap all the time. We assume that the problem is the other person. They don't get it. They aren't listening. They're trying to control the outcome here and so on. What people fail to realize is that we all do that in those here we go again moments because they're painful, right? We're trying to solve a problem. So I use video I ask everyone in a program to participate in a 3-minute videotape role play. It's called the Frank Case. And then we sit in a room and we watch all those role play videos together. Now everyone's worried about embarrassing themselves. That's not the intent. Rather, what they often experience is they often feel closer to one another because they recognize they all share the same problem, right? People think they listen and they don't. They think they're transparent and they're not, and so on. And it's only by seeing themselves on video do people recognize the problem isn't over there, the problem is here, right? And while that might be depressing on some level, it's actually quite encouraging because if the problem is here, I can do something about this problem. And the rest of the program is, in my case, how do I solve the Bob Johnson problem, right? What are the skills, what's the mindset, and so on.
Okay. If you would, I want to make sure I heard it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what I think you just said, because you said it quickly, you said that when you start an engagement, you videotape everybody individually.
That's right.
With the Frank, what'd you call it?
I play a character named Frank.
Oh, you play a character named Frank.
It's a 3-minute.
So you're Frank.
I'm Frank.
Because you call it the Frank something.
The Frank Case.
The Frank Case.
Yeah.
Okay, but so you're Frank.
I play Frank.
And you're just a persona.
Yes.
Okay, and you're acting up or you're doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you videotaped. Do you video Frank or just the
both of us?
Okay. Mm-hmm. So really, it's like this almost.
Yeah, we're knee to knee.
Yeah.
And
and you're having a role play.
That's right.
With a particularly maybe a not too fantastic situation that I could get my head around.
That's right. And after people agree to the program, I say, let's face it, no one likes role plays and no one likes watching themselves on video. So you put the two of those things together and it's going to be a home run.
Yeah, 2 negatives. Yeah. So, okay, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. It almost reminds me of, it reminds me of the very effective training courses we used to take that had video CDs and role plays. I mean, role playing is flipping everything. I mean, it's everything.
Right.
I mean, in any sport, and sales is a sport, I guess, and so is operations. It's a sport.
Yeah.
If you want to get better, you should videotape yourself.
Right. I mean, you look at elite athletes. They're going to rely on videotape because there's. If you really want to improve, you have to separate performance from evaluation, right? And unless we're on video or recording in some way, we can't see ourselves real time in the same way that other people can see us. So we're all actually blind to what we're doing and how we're showing up and so on, but everyone else can see it, right? So you might say, taking that a step further, if I want to really understand who I am and how I'm showing up, I either need to watch myself on video or listen to the people that see me in action. And the hardest thing about that is oftentimes they know things about me that I don't know and are painful to hear, right? And we've got to work, I think, at being open and listening to the very things that hurt if we want to get better.
Yeah, well, you know what we say on the football field? The eye and the sky don't lie.
Isn't that the truth?
I mean, every football coach in the world will tell you that. That's why they film every practice.
That's right.
Every game.
Yes.
They break it down because the eye and the sky don't lie.
That's right.
Right. And it's most players, their epiphanies come when they see themselves.
Yeah.
That's
And it's it kind of adds a little excitement to the.
Yeah.
I'm not just up there like.
Well, it's cool. Now, do you have a helper with that, or are you a one-man band?
I'm a one-man band generally. I've got people I collaborate with.
No, but the videotaping, do you?
Oh yeah,
it's walking with tripods.
It's soup to nuts. Well, So you enjoyed that part of it? Yeah. I mean, the best moment in the whole process is after I have everyone's videotape done. They don't know what's coming.
And they do it siloed, right? It's not like people are watching.
Yeah, no, we just do it. This is all one-on-one. We do it one-on-one.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So you use this. Is this your default position? Like, is this your almost like your assessment in your baseline?
It's a core part of what I do. I can do this work without the video, and I have done it. What the video does is it makes abstract concepts real, right? You can do it without the video when you're working with real-world problems. I think the video is an ingredient that accelerates everything. But as long as there's a real world problem in play, you can create the conditions for people to learn about the things they're not seeing. It's just faster when people we might say we all get a little more humble after we see ourselves on video, and that opens up learning.
Dr. Bob, that's neat.
Yeah, thanks.
I like it. So, well, lots of people do what you do. You probably think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people do podcasts. I think a lot of people build websites. So for you, who are the friends and foes out there? Have you ever thought of it that way?
Yeah.
Are there friends or foes or partners or like what does your landscape look like out there?
Yeah. I mean, people that work in the negotiation space. So, for example, Chris Voss, the FBI negotiator, he does a lot of stuff that is, I think, adjacent to the work I do, and that his work really focuses around, let's say, getting people to pay attention to themselves as they're engaging with other people. I think what I do is a little bit different because oftentimes it's the problems in business aren't so clear cut as, say, getting a hostage out of a bank, right? That the supply chain team is right in some ways, and the sales team is right in their own way. So people in the negotiation space, there's a big part of my work is built around this idea of adult development.
Adult development.
Adult development. We can continue to grow and essentially become wiser as we get older, right? And a lot of the work I do is built around this idea that I think adulthood, we can, if we make the choice and if we are open to the painful lessons that life brings us, we can become, fundamentally different versions of ourselves. Not changing, say, on a personality level, but becoming more aware of myself, other people, how I'm showing up, and so on. So you could say a lot of the research and science in the field of EQ, emotional intelligence. That's an important part of what I do.
I just out of curiosity, is Malcom Knowles a person you're familiar with?
No, I haven't heard of him.
So he was the father of adult learning.
Oh.
And his principles are really exactly what you're doing, because the adults really learn when it directly affects their day, right? And then they do become more empathetic, more wise, more conscious, higher EQ. And it's this guy named Malcom Knowles.
Yeah, I'll check him out.
Yeah, I was in training.
Yeah,
a long time ago.
Yeah,
yeah. So.
Cool.
Well, what should we do? We should maybe keep track of you. How you got any way? How would somebody contact you?
Yeah, probably the best way. I'm on LinkedIn, but with a name like Bob Johnson, it's probably kind of hard to find. I have a website, Team Transformation Method.
TeamTransformationMethod.com. Dr. Bob Johnson.
Yeah, I've got a white paper on there that people can download and read a little bit more about what I do. And then, you can find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Bob Johnson, Irvine, California, psychologist. That should narrow it down. I hope that narrows it down. Yeah. Those are the two main places to find me.
Well, I learned a lot today.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to talk with you about these ideas that are important to me, and have you listen and engage.
No, thank you for coming, and thank you for your service.
Yeah, it's an honor. Yeah, it was a real privilege. Thank you.
All right.